Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. Good afternoon. Today is the 10th of September and it's time for yet another not very interesting, vague and probably quite boring vlog. I do apologise if the phone's just vibrated as well. Some kind of notification has come on even if I've got aircraft mode turned on, which is just very annoying. Today we're going to be covering a topic which we've actually discussed on this channel a lot before. I mean, you know, this is one of the reasons possibly I started this channel. And it's about my work as an independent vehicle consultant. It's quite funny, I often meet people, some of them are very familiar with the channel. I don't even know what I do, despite the fact that I kind of talk about it in my channel name. But never mind, it doesn't matter really. If you are on the Rover 45 V6 or set Lado membership tier, then you get to see these videos around the time they're actually made. If you are on any other level membership or none at all, then you get to see them a few weeks later. Obviously, there's no particular reason why you need to become a channel member, unless you really want to. I'd much rather you just, you know, enjoy watching the videos, watching them all the way through, subscribing and leaving a comment. Doesn't cost you anything and it very much helps out. So, you know, that's what I prefer you to do. If you wish to become a channel member, then that's wonderful too. So I've just on my way back from switching cars over because I've done a job today in Kent and for some friends. It's actually a repeat job. I did a job 4 years ago for my clients, some friends of mine, and I've just come back to switch cars over because I don't tend to use this car for doing jobs, but because I'm going to 2 shows tomorrow with this, one of them I'm not exhibiting, one of them I am, then I need to switch the cars over. So the job was quite a simple brief actually, as far as my work goes. It was to find an automatic car about the same size as a Ford Focus for about £9,000 that was 2013 and newer, and you know, had low mileage and in good condition. But actually a lot harder than it seems these days, because prices are so high at the moment, about 50% up on what they were maybe 18 months ago. But it's not impossible or anything, and there was some good options lined up. One of the reasons I was called in is because I think my friends had bought some cars before, just stood them on their own, and they hadn't quite worked out that well for them. So I was called in again to do this job. There were 2 Hyundai iX20s lined up to see, both automatic, both about the same price. I think actually the same price, funny enough. Slightly different years and mileages, but those were fine. And in the end, my clients actually bought one of those. They were quite well presented cars, one of them better than the other. I think I would have chosen personally the other one rather than what my client wanted. But that's just my preference, you know, they were so similar that it didn't really matter. I think it just tuned down to colour in the end. The fact that the one that eventually they bought was slightly newer than the other one, although it had slightly higher mileage. Hyundai X20 is pretty much the same as a Kia Venga, based on the same platform as the original Kia Soul and the Hyundai i20 car that we've had on the channel. I had a Soul, but we have had an i20. One of my friends has still got that car actually, but was viewed 18 months ago, and I think we're getting on for something like 175, 180,000 miles in that. So, you know, they do last for distance if you looked after them. But with 35,000 miles on the clock, that's what it chose. The other car that was on offer was an Astra, hence the title of this very vague vlog, an astronomical issue. And it was not what I would call that bad, but strangely in this market the car had been sitting around for quite some time. I think we're talking at least a month actually, and very unusually the dealership that was selling this car, they said, oh, you know, we don't tend to be able to sell Vauxhalls very quickly, and he told me how long he'd been sitting around and all this sort of stuff. So I went to start it, obviously nothing, battery flat, which doesn't inspire confidence in clients when you're sitting around. Before you ask, yes, I didn't just turn up unannounced, I had made an appointment the day before. So you would have thought maybe they would have got the jump pack out before that, but you know, never mind. Also, one of the rear tyres was flat, which wasn't great. I mean, it was alright just to do a quick test drive, which we did, but in the end, despite the car being £1,000 cheaper than either of the other two, it just wasn't what they wanted. There's a very old lesson that I learnt in my first ever job, which was January 2017. It wasn't even a paid job, I was just helping a friend out, and that's after, you know, I did that a couple of times the early part of that year, but I thought I actually might be able to do it on a professional basis, so I did. But this was just sort of helping someone out, and it was a really simple job. She had a car that she was borrowing. She didn't even actually own a car at the moment, or she'd had a car years ago and it hadn't worked out. So it was literally, she had a car, and it was just borrowed, and she used to get a new one. And back in the day when actually getting new cars on sort of PCPs and things actually made a lot of sense. These days, far less so, in my opinion. But it's just you know, the way that I feel about things. And it was a choice between a Kia and a Skoda. The dealerships were opposite each other, and yeah, she came in with this old Honda Accord that she was borrowing, and I think she's going back to her friends who lent it to her. She wanted really to buy the Kia. She preferred the look of it, and she just obviously just didn't want to see the Skoda at all, didn't want to see it. And eventually what happened, went to the Kia dealership, she didn't like driving it. She just found the car a bit difficult to drive. She didn't like the brakes that were really, really kind of over-assisted, and the clutch that was sort of very grabby. Kias often do have clutches that are a little bit light and sort of like that, but that's just the way that they are. Those of you who've driven something like a Kia Rio or something like that, or a Picanto in this case, will find that, but you just get used to it. If you then drove the Skoda, which was City Go, didn't particularly like the look of the thing, but she found it much, much better to drive, and probably they are a little bit better to drive than a Picanto at that age. So she ended up buying the Skoda, even if she didn't like the look of it so much, and because it was a brand new car, she got to choose the specifications of the colour and everything. It was a similar thing today, you know, that my clients sort of look at the Astra, not so much for Hyundais. You know, they aren't the prettiest cars, but having driven the Astra, and obviously the incident with the flat tyre and the fact that there wasn't any charge in the battery, and also the air conditioning kind of started with mildew or something, which again is an indication the car was sitting around for a really long time. They just didn't want it. On paper it looked like maybe the one that they were going to have, but in the end chose one of the Hyundais. And it just goes to show, I always say, like, you know, you don't really know what a car's like unless you've actually stood in front of it and actually driven it. You just don't know what it's like. And you know, some people like to buy cars sight unseen, and it's not necessarily a problem to do that or anything, but I just I like people to actually get in the car and sit in it and drive it and really know if that's actually right for them. One of the things that happened a couple of years ago with my friends is that they bought two cars during lockdown that you wanted to test drive one of them. So you just have to do it remotely, and the gentleman said that this a Golf that they bought, said, "Oh, it drives like a dream." Really, it didn't drive like a dream at all. It drove like a nightmare. I think it cost £1,000, and they got £300 for it trading against their next car, because the Golf lasted 2 weeks. There was some major problem with the engine in it, and it smelt really bad, and you know, it was just all going wrong. I think he'd done that classic thing that some people, unscrupulous people do, is just stamp a receipt, spares and repairs. And legally these days, that doesn't actually mean you can do that. You can't just go and stamp a receipt, spares and repairs, which is selling from general public. In between traders, it's a completely different affair. But you can't do that anymore, from what I understand. And Chops Garage is an excellent channel to know about the legalities of doing that kind of stuff. But he used it as an excuse and said, oh, it's an auction car, like there's no comeback on it. And I think, well, the contract here is not between the auction and the customer. The contract is actually between the seller and the customer. It doesn't matter where he got it. So, you know, obviously I've told this to them for future reference. But there are, you know, quite a lot of rights you have as someone who's bought a second-hand car from a business as opposed to a private individual. Private individual, the rights are totally different. Which .co.uk has a very good article about what your rights are, and you know, if you watch enough Chops Garage videos, then you get to know what the rights are as well. So, you know, there we are. That's a life of a day, an independent vehicle consultant, part 3, an astronomical issue. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and if you like these sort of videos, then let me know, and we'll do some more. Obviously, if you didn't like the first minute of the video, you probably aren't watching anymore, are you? But those of you who watched all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. Thank you.